Hi, I'm Linda from Living Linda, and today I am joined by Christine, who moved to Portugal 3 years ago, and she is going to be telling us a little bit about her experience of living and moving here. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Thank you.
And how long ago did you move to Portugal?
I moved here in September 2021, so just short of 3 years.
And you live in Santarém?
I live in Casevo.
And have you lived here the whole time?
No, before that I lived outside of Coimbra in a town called Lousao, and I was in an outskirt named Val de Silva, a little village.
Why did you decide to move to Portugal?
I moved to Portugal for many reasons, for health reasons, for financial reasons, medical reasons.
And you find that living here gives you everything that was not available in the U.S.?
Yes. Social Security benefits are very low in the U.S. and really when you retire, I wasn't going to be able to live off of that in the United States.
And you find that living here is, you're
Yes.
able to just live on your
Yes.
Social Security benefits?
Yes, with some of my savings. The monthly living expenses here are considerably less for me.
Do you know what percentage less?
Yeah, I would say they're 60% less.
60% less. Wow. Where did you live in the U.S.?
In Massachusetts.
Oh, so yeah, that's pretty high.
I owned a home that had a mortgage, and then living expenses, having a vehicle.
It all adds up.
Insurance, health insurance, being self-employed, you have to pay your own health insurance. All of that is significantly less for me as a single person here in Portugal. I wouldn't say that it's cheap, but because I was able to purchase a home with the money I made from the sale of my house, I don't have a mortgage, so that's cutting a big expense out. And so basically I'm just, paying for my food and my fun time and utilities.
And health insurance.
And health insurance, yes. I have my own private health insurance.
How does that compare to what you said you had to pay for your insurance?
Well, I guess it depends on the plans that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
Because here you can get private health insurance from, starting around $1,000 a year to, I guess, as high as you want. If you want 100% coverage of everything, I don't know what the limit is, but there are different plans here, just like in the U.S. However, in the U.S., you would be probably looking at paying anywhere between $500 and $1,000 a month for your own insurance.
True.
So here, it's per year. And if you are a resident and you have your health number here, then you can also take part in the free healthcare system, which is a little bit, backed up. But if that's what your resources allow, then you have that advantage as well, that you don't have to have your own private insurance. I have my private insurance because I want to be able to choose the doctors and the hospital that I go to.
You mentioned that you bought your house here. Can you tell me a little bit about the process of doing that? How different was it from the U.S.?
Sure. I don't think it was much different. There are some differences, but I think one big thing here is that the real estate agents don't like to network with other real estate agents. So often, if you were a real estate agent and you had several listings, they might not be accessible to me. If I was a real estate agent, I might not be able to see that listing at all because there's no, you're advertising it. So if I don't follow you, I don't see your advertisements. There's no multiple listings network where you can go and see everything that's on the real estate market like you can in some other countries. And I know we're talking specifically about the U.S. So that's one major difference, is that house hunting can be quite frustrating, confusing, difficult. Also, a lot of estate agents don't want to work with another agent. So if you have a buyer's agent, they might not want to show that agent the home because they don't want to share the commission. And they have that right. There's no law saying that they have to allow this other agent to show the home. So for me, what ended up happening was I was working with 5 different realtors because I was looking at all these different properties that were listed with each one of them, and that seems to be the norm here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found several properties that I wanted to look at. The house I bought is one of them. And the realtor was not able to get an appointment. He tried and tried and tried for 3 weeks, couldn't get an appointment. So then I messaged the person because I had actually found the house and sent him the information. And so then I messaged the realtor and I got an appointment right away. And then I brought him with me, my realtor. I didn't say anything about having a realtor when I made the appointment because I already in my mind thought this is a complication because of a realtor calling, you know. So I just brought him with me, and then when we met the other realtor, I just said, this is my real estate agent, you know, and he's going to be doing all the discussions for me. So once I had walked in and saw that this was the place I wanted, then I just told him I want to make an offer, and I let him handle it all. And so he did the negotiating back and forth. When they wanted more money, he told me, no, you know, just wait, don't offer more, because he had researched what the other offers had been on the house that they had declined. And so that was, you know, all very good information for me to have somebody working with me. But it was difficult to find this person, you know, because like I said, I had 5 other people, but I didn't feel as comfortable with them as I did with this particular person that I used. And then I had a real estate lawyer. So I didn't do any paperwork research myself. I handed it all over to the lawyer because there are so many properties that don't have the correct paperwork, or it's not the real owner that's selling it because maybe some record was never updated. So you might not find all that out until you go to the actual closing, you know. So I think it's well worth it to have a buyer's agent that you really feel comfortable with and that serves you, not just takes you to an appointment and tries to, you know, push you into getting a house, because there's a lot like that too, that there's a lot of ruins and they'll tell you, oh yeah, oh you can get windows for, you know, $5,000 for the whole house, and you can get a new roof for this, and you can do that. But then finding someone to actually do the work for that price, if you're calculating that into your expenses, is really, really difficult. I mean, it took me 2.5 years to find a good person to work at the home that I have right now. You know, I had some recommendations from my realtor, but they weren't really, it wasn't good workmanship, you know, or they didn't show up, or they did part of the job and then never came back. So there's a lot of things here that you do have to, you know, be astute and watch out for in the housing market.
Okay. And how long did it take you to find your property?
I think I looked for about 6 months, you know. I looked in various areas. I looked in the northern part near Coimbra and out west towards Portugal Grande. And it's all beautiful countryside, but I just, you know, didn't really find the area. And I wanted everything to be convenient for me. I wanted to be in the country, but also have a town nearby where I can do all my grocery shopping, have a movie theater, not have to drive very far. So I found, you know, all that with, and I have 2 great options here. I have Torres Novas, which is 15 minutes away, and then I have Santarém, which is 30 minutes away. And those are both major cities with shopping malls and sports arenas and citizens shop, you know, where you can go and get all your paperwork done, restaurants, movie theaters, medical facilities. So
You moved here with pets. Can you tell us a little bit about the process, what you had to do in order to move them? Did you bring them on the plane yourself?
I brought them on the plane myself. The process is quite lengthy, and there's a lot of paperwork involved, and it can be a little bit confusing. And I'll tell you the reasons. So here in Portugal, there is a real strict rabies law. So your dogs have to be microchipped, and they require a specific type of microchip that can be read with a European digital reader. So a lot of dogs in the US that are microchipped don't have the right chip. I'm not sure if it's a time thing, if before a certain date it was this one chip and now they're doing the correct chips. But I moved here in 2021, and I had 2 dogs that I had adopted a couple of years before that. One of my dogs actually had been adopted 4 years before, and the other one 2 years before. And they both had the incorrect chip. So, and they had all their vaccines already registered to that incorrect chip number. So they had to be revaccinated and rechipped with all their vaccines so that the vaccine record was compliant with that microchip. And for me, being a non-vaccine person, of course my veterinarians did it, but I had a lot of concerns about them, getting vaccinosis or having seizures from having these vaccines at an older age where they've already had the vaccines previously. So that was a little bit of a confusing thing for me. And the paperwork has to be completed in a certain time frame. At that time, it was that they had to be chipped and vaccinated within 6 months of my travel, or maybe it was within 3 months. And the paperwork couldn't be completed until 10 days before. Paperwork that gets filled out in the US at the veterinary office then gets back to you, and you email it to the veterinary office at the airport, which is where you're going to pick up your dogs. And then you'd have to check in there. So I'll back up a little bit now to my process of getting to the airport and everything. So once you have all your paperwork and you've emailed it, and then within a few days you're going to be flying, you go to the airport and you're checking in with pets. So you go to the luggage counter, but when I first got there, I basically put my 3 dog crates, because I had 3 dogs I was taking, on a cart. I had 10 suitcases. So I had 4 carts with me. I had a friend helping me in the airport, but I went to the luggage counter. They take all your luggage, and then you stay with your dogs. Then someone comes, they have to inspect the kennels that your dogs are in to make sure that you don't have any weapons or illegal things in there hiding with your dogs. My dogs flew on TAP Airlines in cargo, and the reason I did the cargo is that, yes, they're small dogs, but a 7-hour flight or 10 hours on the plane, because you don't know when you're going to take off and when you're going to land and how long you have on the plane there. So it's not just the 7-hour flight, it's all the time before that and after that they're also in the carrier or in their crate. So I wanted them to have enough space to stand up or lie down while they were traveling, because for my dogs, being 3 hours before flight at the airport and 2 hours after, it was 13 hours that they were in there. So I practiced with them beforehand because they were not used to being in a crate. So for a couple months before that, I had the crates in the car. Whenever we went somewhere, I put them in their crates, the same way they would be in the plane, with the little licky bottles of water, with their little blanket. I gave them a cookie when they went in, and then I would go grocery shopping, or sometimes if I had a quick job at work and I was only gone for an hour or 2, I would take them with me. So I slowly got them used to just being in the crate, being in a vehicle that was moving. And of course, they were used to the car already, but not enclosed. So I just tried to make it as easy and normal for them as possible. And they were great at the airport. They were quiet, and then the only problem was when their kennels got inspected, because I had a buddy who didn't like people, so they didn't inspect his kennel in the end, because he was quite aggressive when they wanted to open it. And even though I was there to handle the dog, they still have to, they have to make sure that you're not trying to get something off the dog that you might be hiding, so they like to do the inspection process kind of on their own.
I see.
They don't like you to go in and handle the dog and things like that. So that was all great. I also, I put some Apple AirTags on all my dogs so that I could track where they were while they were on the plane. I could see that they were all in the baggage hold. And Then when I arrived at the airport, my dogs went to a separate area from the luggage because obviously they're live animals. So again, with my air tags on my phone, I was able to see their location, and I went and found them right away. And then I took them over to the veterinary clinic, and I waited there for the veterinarian to come and scan their chips and approve the paperwork. And then off we went. And then there's more that you have to do once you arrive where you're going to live. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
So then once you arrive at your destination, you have to go to the local veterinarian with all your papers and register your dogs. And then you get a passport for your dog. And they transfer all the vaccine information and everything into the passport. And then that is the legal document that you then use for your dogs from then on, wherever you go here in Europe, or if you go to a new veterinarian, whenever you have vaccines, you get this recorded in the passport.
Did you move here with household goods from the US, or did you buy everything new? And if you did ship stuff here, what was your process like?
I did ship stuff here, and the reason for that was that I really wanted to have my own things here, and I also didn't know where I was going to be ending up. So I wasn't sure what the shopping and replacing things would be like. There was a lot of recommendations to me to not do that, but in the end, I feel much better that I brought all my things. So the process was not difficult, but also not really easy. I had to find a shipping company on my own, obviously. There's many shipping companies out there, and the price ranges were from anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 for the same size container that I had, which was a 20-foot container. And in some of my research, I found some other companies also where you can, if you're just shipping, your bedding or your clothing, you can also just get U-Pack We Ship, it's called. So it's just like a box on a pallet, and you can get that. That's a much lesser rate. But then you don't really know when you're going to get your things because they wait until they have a container full of those things to ship it. So that was one option, was to get a bunch of these boxes and put things in that and then wait for that company to have enough to ship over. And that you pay, I think, by the square meter. And then I found a shipping company. I don't want to mention names because I didn't have a good experience with them, but I had two shipping companies that couldn't give me a shipping date. The prices were constantly changing. I didn't know where they were going to pick up my things because in my situation, my house was sold and I was leaving, but as I said, I was renting an apartment where I didn't need anything. So I didn't know when I would need my things, and I needed them to be held until I found a property that I could then say, bring my things. I did find a shipping container storage company here in Portugal where, if needed, I could have brought my things over sooner and then stored them. But that in itself was quite difficult for me to organize because I had just moved here. I didn't know where anybody had this, how I didn't know any transport companies that I could call and get the things delivered. So I chose to store my things in the US and then have my shipping company go and get them and ship them for me. So that is one way that you can do it. Or you can put your things directly into a shipping container and have that stored. But you don't know what the storage is going to be like, So I used a company called Portugal Living. They have boats that come over here on a regular basis because they import from Portugal to the US and they bring some things from the US to Portugal. Mm-hmm. So they have they don't just deal in furniture. They have shipping furniture and household goods. They have a regular service going back and forth, and their prices were excellent. It was half of what I was quoted all the other places. And they were the quickest. They delivered right to my door. Most of my things were in good condition. Some things were broken. You do get the insurance, but you have like a $2,500 deductible. If you have a scratched glass table or a broken cabinet, you know, if you're shipping a $5,000 cabinet, you'd have to buy insurance specifically for that cabinet because your global insurance on your whole load doesn't really cover something like that. You know, you have your deductible. It might be different now. Like I said, I don't want to elaborate too much on the details and the pricing because I don't know what it is now 3 years later. But you know, some items are not going to be replaced for the value that you thought they were because you have a deductible, or there's no proof that it got damaged in shipping. It could have been damaged in storage, you know.
Right.
You're opening a box maybe that now has broken glasses or broken crystal or whatever, and you know that nobody can tell that from the outside. So when you receive your things, it's kind of, if you don't see the damage right then and there, you're kind of stuck with what you unpack.
But you had minimal damage?
I had minimal damage. My furniture was all in pretty good shape. I had brought all my clothing and valuables, like my therapy equipment and stuff. I had brought that all with me in my suitcases.
Okay.
I just paid for extra suitcases. Like I had mentioned before, I brought 10 suitcases. So I brought most of my clothing because I was coming in the winter months. So I brought winter and summer clothing with me, and things for my dogs, you know, some of their toys and coats and things I don't need here actually, but I wasn't aware whether I would need it or not.
So what is your life like here, and what keeps you busy?
I love being here. I love the countryside. I love the scenery. I am busy with my garden, with my house, doing a little bit of remodeling, painting, you know, making things look pretty. I have a horse, and I spend a lot of time at the horse farm where my horse lives. I do a lot of day trips, looking at different things. Just within an hour of where I live, there are so many sites and things to do, parks, cultural centers, you know, movies like I mentioned before, just the regular things that you would have anywhere else. There's a lot of things to explore, outdoor things, hiking, castles, festivals, a lot of holidays here that are conjoined with festivals. So it's very entertaining for me here. The weather is beautiful, and I'm very, very happy that I moved here.
Wow, it sounds like you have a great life here. Have you been able to form a community of friends here, both expats and Portuguese, or how has that been?
I have quite a few friends. I am originally from Germany, so I speak German and English, and I've met quite a few German people here that I'm friends with. People that have moved here both from the US or from other parts of Europe. And I would say that I don't have many Portuguese friends, mainly because I don't speak Portuguese yet. But I have found some really great Portuguese people. For example, my real estate agent, the woman that owned my house before I did, she's Portuguese. She still lives in the area. So if I need something, I can contact her. I have other friends where I lived before for 6 months. I had an apartment. I have some English people there that I'm friends with that have lived here for 9 years. And just, you know, random Facebook mainly, you know, the groups that you find. I'm not on any other social media but Facebook. And
we met through Facebook.
So you can meet a lot of people on the groups, and then you just do a meetup, you know, hey, you like what someone's saying or how they introduce themselves. And then I responded and would say, hey, I'm also from Germany, or I'm from Massachusetts. Let's meet for a coffee. And then, you know, if you click, you click. And if you don't, you find somebody new.
Exactly.
So I'm not a big, go out person. I don't like to go into the city and go out for coffee and sit around. I like doing more activities. So you can, find all of that. So I live in the countryside because of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for talking with me today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit more about your life with me.
Thank you for having me.